Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Costello. My over there is Leo Faerberg. We're here today to talk to you about psychological trauma. Interesting, right? We don't have a lot of time today, so we're going to get on with it. No fluffy bits, no frills, and no spills, hopefully. So, what is psychological trauma? That's an interesting question. We could talk about this all day. And if we got a big group of psychologists together, we'll be here for a week or two. So it's a big area. So we could support a definition that I had an accident some years ago, and the accident itself was fairly traumatic. It hurt. It created a fracture in one of my knees. So that is a kind of a trauma, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about psychological trauma. And the reason in particular with me at that particular point in time, the trauma didn't overwhelm my ability to cope, or at least that's how it seemed. So somehow, when we're suffering from psychological trauma, we don't have the ability to cope with whatever's happened and what is currently happening in our lives that may or may not be directly related. Is that as clear as mud? Is that helpful? What do you think, Leo?
Uh, I think yeah, it's clear enough. But what I personally appeal to when I talk to my clients about trauma, because trauma is a big topic now. Almost everybody talks about trauma and their own traumas and how to deal with trauma or heal trauma. But and so it becomes, it sounds as if it's less valuable or less important, like, well, everybody has a trauma of some kind. But what we're talking about, it's not just events that happen to people and to children on various stages of their lives in various conditions. It's also the main thing is that it's how the nervous system reacted to that traumatic event, or that amount of traumatic probably lifestyle. Because we have different ways where the nervous system gets its breakdown. And it's as though the nervous system gets stuck in the traumatic event. It's like one thing, it's like trauma is because we have a special name for it, like post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's how, from the today's standpoint, we realize that it's something that had happened before. But at the same time, the nervous system comes to such a state of getting ready to fight, flight, or freeze, and as if preparing for some future events. That's why it's so hard to stay in the present. So that's why it's so difficult to take care of yourself and love yourself and enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, take care of ongoing stuff. It's because the nervous system is frozen in the state of the previous event, getting ready to meet this event every single time, so you're like a tiger hiding behind the bush, getting ready to leap all the time. And it's so energy draining, it's so distracting. That's why so many people and so many professionals are now talking about it's not supposed to be that way. We may get rid of this state and start enjoying ourselves more.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And it just reminded me of something as well, when you mentioned the tiger. So I'm just going to tell a quick story about my tiger. So when I had this accident and fractured my knee, in the beginning, it was fractured knee. But as time went on, my body began to react. My nervous system went into overdrive. And I really did break down physically first. And then I began to break mentally. There was something going on. I didn't know what it was. but there was something going on that wasn't right. The knee was blamed all the time because that's where it seemed to start. But really, it was, as Leo said a few minutes ago, it was something that happened much further back than that, back in the past. So back in the past, one of the things that happened was I'd had a particularly bad morning at work. It was the worst, but imagine that bad morning, dark clouds, thunderstorm, happening inside your head all the time. You're really having a bad day. The boss is being a complete pain, winding you up. He's asking unreasonable questions. So what do you want to do? You want to get out of that place as quickly as possible. And in my case, that's what I did. I got on my mountain bike, went to the forest, charged into the forest at a ridiculous speed until all of a sudden there was a big loud metallic crack. My gear set snapped into two pieces, and guess whose fault it was? It was the manufacturer's fault. It was the bike's fault. It was the forest path's fault, etc., etc., etc. But it wasn't my fault. Absolutely not. I was a good guy. I was the victim. And that was kind of that was a warning sign that I didn't see until almost a year later when I fractured my knee, and then the warning signs came out thick and fast. So I went to see a psychologist, and that was a bit weird because a psychologist seeing a psychologist for me was at that time was really hard. It really was hard. I didn't want to admit that I needed help. And, you know, I know enough about psychology. I didn't need another psychologist to tell me what I needed to think about because I thought I knew what I needed to think about. I was wrong. I've got to say, I was very wrong. But one of the things the psychologist talked about, and it's a thing we use quite often, is peeling back the layers of the onion. So you take off the first layer and see what you find, and you see what you find, and you begin to manage that. You look for ways to fix, if that's a good, I don't think that's the best word, but you look for ways to fix that. And then you keep peeling the layers of the onion back, and you eventually you come to a point in the past where the trauma probably actually originated. So the tiger jumped out at me in the forest, and it just reminded me that there was something here that needed to be dealt with. It wasn't Shimano's fault for breaking that gear set. It was something else, something deep within me. I noticed also at that time, now these are some of the kind of signals. I was a very proactive person. And I didn't realize it, but I stopped being proactive. I was reacting all the time, which is interesting. But when I analyzed it, I realized I'd become reactive rather than proactive. I became narrow-minded. My glass was always half empty. It hadn't been that way. It was always half full, but it became suddenly half, it seemed to be sudden. It wasn't. It became half empty. And there are some studies suggesting that narrow-minded people are more susceptible to mental illness. And I did become, in a sense, mentally unwell. And that needed support and help as well. So there are a lot of things that we need to be aware of. Trauma is not just some word that psychologists throw around. I've noticed it in the mainstream, in the media generally as well. It's used. It's a word that's used and abused quite often. So Leo, do you want to come in? I'm running away. I'm getting excited.
That's fine. Yes, trauma is a big, basic predictor for mental illness and for physical illness as well in so many cases, because and now it's probably partially a joke, but there are psychologists or mental health professionals who use the DSM-5, but there are some that consider that post-traumatic stress disorder is the only diagnosis that is probably necessary, especially in the field of emotional distress, emotional mental issues. So that's because, again, we're talking about the physiological state. It's a nervous system breakdown. It's a nervous system dysregulation, because as with a musical instrument, you may have a guitar, but it sounds good only if it's tuned well. But if it's out of tune, it doesn't sound good. So the same with the nervous system. It's an organ. It's something that controls the whole body. It is in every system. It controls everything that's going on there, even mostly when we don't know about it, when we don't realize that something's going on inside. And that's why when it gets frozen or dysregulated, causing us to break down in rage or in go into a panic attack or something, it affects all the organs in some different ways for many people, for different people, but basically it's what's going on. And the what's called like the roof of the brain, the part that is supposed to control things and to make decisions and to plan things and to take care of things, it just gets off. It stops working appropriately. That brings us to so many bad decisions, bad relationships, bad behavior, something that is not helpful. That's why, and psychology is probably one of the main ways to get to it, though right now we are talking about the wholesome point of view, like seeing a person as a whole. And we have to take into consideration that one thing that, yes, we must and we can and we're able to release the body out of this grip of trauma, because we do need more like enjoyable life, happier relationship, like just being happy. We deserve it. We are innately supposed to be happy. And so that's why we must take care of our own state and the state of the nervous system and get rid of the traces of trauma. And another thing is that it also concerns the whole society, because the more happy people we see, the more with more happy people we interact, the happier we are. The society gets a different different vibe. Let's use this new age term, but it is.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Now, I was just thinking very briefly about the ways that you can contact us. If you can see this as a video, you'll see there's a message on the bottom of the screen. If you want to contact via LinkedIn, look for Steve Costello. You'll find my profile quite easily, and you can connect through there. Send a message. It's entirely up to you. If you want to connect, great, I will connect, but send a message at least. Alternatively, if you want to contact WhatsApp, you can call on 0033 767 545 557. And another thing that we can do to support you is that Leo and I run groups, therapy groups. Groups are highly, highly effective ways of working. There's a sense of community. There's power in that sense of community. It's a non-judgmental place where you can enjoy the company of people also suffering all kinds of traumas, but you learn from each other. You support one another. We as psychologists obviously support and enable the groups as well. So there are all kinds of things going on there in those groups. We don't have time to cover it in any detail today, but we will be coming back to it in the next couple of weeks. However, if you're interested in groups, leave us a message either via LinkedIn, as I said, or WhatsApp, and tag you, and we'll get back to you with more information and details. So what else can we say about trauma? My trauma, as I said, the signal was the accident. It wasn't a big deal, the accident. I fell over when I was rollerblading, kicked my knee, bump, fractured knee. So it wasn't a big trauma. It hurt. The air around me went blue because of my language. But that was just one of those things. But what happened before all that came back, eventually, it took help. I couldn't have done it alone, I don't think. In fact, there are things that we discovered that I completely had buried, and I don't think anyone but somebody with professional knowledge could help me bring them back. And once we brought them back, of course, we looked at them, we managed them, we dealt with them. We didn't say, oh, there it was, back there 10 years ago, or whatever it happened to be. Now we've identified it, we can move on. It was more than that. So we had to look for ways of managing those traumas. So that, again, is through groups. Groups are a great place to look at managing those kind of traumas, so we can listen to how we manage one person's trauma might not be the same for you, but at least it gives ideas, it gives plans, thoughts, and ideas. Okay, so Leo, do you have anything more to say on trauma?
I have something to add on group therapy of trauma, because again, you probably noticed I like to talk about nervous system, though I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm a neuropsychologist, and so I want to mention not just the technical side of it, but the practical side of it, how to get there, how we use psychology as one of the biggest pathways to get to the nervous system. And there is another special thing about people, is that we have this ability to synchronize with each other. You probably noticed that sometimes when someone is angry, you get triggered and get angry too, or get scared, depending on what kind of trauma you have. Or when you are angry, somebody will necessarily be scared. But when we come down, when you get regulated, where you are in the presence of someone calm and sensitive and caring, you also calm down and become more reasonable, and so the one of the interesting effects of a group is that many dysregulated people on one hand may cause more dysregulation, but when you get advice, when you get care, when you get some support and special tool, we use special tool for it, the group gets regulated better, and for many people it's the best way to get in touch with themselves when they get in touch with others, and that's probably something we have to utilize for helping each other to get rid of trauma and learn how to regulate yourself, because it's a skill. There's nothing mystical about it. It's a skill that everyone can learn and apply and get the result. And probably that's not just advertising a therapy group or something. It's just it's like hygiene. When we've come to a period in time where we can understand that we do need some regular practice to get ourselves in touch with ourselves and to get ourselves regulated and able to get back to the world and proceed doing whatever we are doing every day, but in a different state.
Brilliant. I remember a group that I was a part of where somebody said I was feeling particularly down one particular day. I remember it quite clearly. I remember the light coming from the window. It's almost as though a photograph of the environment around me. And I was feeling down. And the woman in the group said, Steve, I know how you feel. This is how I feel too. It wasn't precisely the same. We didn't really compare notes. But she empathized with my feeling. And that was so powerful. It was really powerful. because a little part of my brain said, see, you're not on your own. There are other people. There are people who know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's quite important.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing to say as well, when I felt down, and the more down I felt, the worse it became, the pain in my left knee became a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I was feeling depressed, the pain was worse. Feeling depressed, the pain was worse. Feeling more depressed, the pain was terrible. And that didn't make any sense, none whatsoever. It was like, well, that can't be a thing. Actually, it is a thing. There's been a lot of research done since time. We've all heard about the mind-body relationship, and we can't do it justice here and now today. But the mind-body relationship shows knee pain is associated with depression. Now, if I would have known that at that particular time, maybe my support would have come along a lot faster. The support from a psychologist, but they didn't. They weren't aware, so that's life. That's the way it was. But it's something to bear in mind that our body tells our mind what's going on. Our mind tells our body what's going on. There's a big relationship going on there that we can't ignore.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough from me for today. Leo, do you want to finish?
I just want to add that it's we're so brought up to keep stiff upper lip and never show your downside and always be successful and happy, or just like powerful and stern and always ready to fight. And these are the ways society wants you to look like. But everybody has their downside, and everybody has their down periods in the mood, and so many people are suffering from depression and other mental issues right now. And it's very important to again turn the tables and be ready to show up whatever you are, and be welcomed in any state. And groups work like this. There is no goal to make you happy right now and make you smile and make you laugh, but there is a goal to accept whatever state you're in, and you so that you have this opportunity to be with people and be true, even if you are down, even if you are depressed or worried. So just show up and be accepted, and this is a very healing experience. So I really want to welcome you to whatever help you can get and whatever help we can provide, because we are we've been in profession for so much time, and we both experienced our own traumas and dealt with them. There are probably some things that we still have to deal with, or at least I can say it for my behalf. But at the same time, it's a clinical experience, and it's a personal experience, and that makes it I guess more productive.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Leo. Okay, everybody, please remember, if you have a question, send us a question. There are places where this show goes out. You can leave comments, you can leave questions. Please do so. We will get back to you. Alternatively, WhatsApp ++33 767 545 557, or look for me, Steve Costello, on LinkedIn. Leave me a message in there and I will get back to you, or send me a connect request. Either way, I don't mind. Okay. Have a brilliant week. We will be back next Monday. See you then.
Yeah. Bye.